Welcome to the Fractured Families Podcast. Hi, I'm Charity, a dedicated parental alienation coach. I'm here to support and advocate for families navigating the challenges of high conflict divorces and custody disputes.
And I'm Jeremy, whose personal journey has highlighted devastating effects of parental alienation and coercive control on family dynamics.
Together, we're here to shed light on the struggles many families face, offering insights, strategies, and hope to those seeking justice and healing.
On each episode, we'll explore real-life stories, expert advice, and practical solutions to help rebuild and strengthen the bonds that hold families together.
Whether you're personally affected or looking to understand more about these complex issues, you're not alone. We're here to walk this path with you.
Please join us as we navigate the complexities of family law, sharing inspiring journeys of resilience, and advocate for meaningful reform in the pursuit of family unity.
This is the Fractured Families Podcast, where every voice matters and every story counts. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Fractured Family Podcast. Today we're speaking with Corey, a father who is currently facing the painful effects and consequences of parental alienation.
Corey last saw his kids on February 19th, and since then, he's been completely cut off from communication. He hasn't even started the separation process yet.
So Corey's been blocked on all communication devices, and he isn't getting any updates about his children's lives, including where they live or where they even go to school.
And to make matters worse, Corey's facing false allegations about being abusive and struggling with addiction, when in reality, he's been the one mistreated during the marriage.
So we're eager to hear Corey's story and shed some light on the challenges many families face in these situations. So welcome, Corey. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So what we like to do, Corey, is just let you tell your story. You know, we got a little bit of info on where we're at, but what happened from February, a little bit of the beginning of you two and how it started, where it landed, and where you're headed next.
So I've been married for 18 years at this point. My son's 17. My wife has been abusive, and I know that's weird for a man to say. And I mean, I'm not your little guy, right? Like I'm a big guy. She's 5'0" and 110 pounds, and I'm scared to death of this woman. She has completely destroyed my confidence in myself, my relationship with my children. I mean, everything that there is. I mean, there's nothing that she hasn't touched that has been destroyed. I had a call from the AG today on to prosecute me for not paying child support. I told him, look, this is the deal. I have not seen my kids in 9 months. Told her I will pay for half of everything as long as she will let me see my kids. So that's all I want. I was a stay-at-home dad for 5 years. Now all of a sudden I'm this abusive guy that has taken advantage and hurt her and done all these things. I've never touched her in a physical manner other than trying to get her off of me. When my son was 1 year old, we were living in Louisiana. And we were having a hard time. I had gotten demoted when we first got married. She lost her job, so we were living off of a really small salary, and things were tough. And at about, son was I think 8 months old when this happened, and got into an argument for the phone because she was going to work and I needed a phone at the house because I was going to be home with the son. We got into it, and she decided that she was going to get physical and whooped me. I mean, really whooped me. She hit me. I was holding my son. He wasn't even 1 year old. I was holding him. She hit me. And when she hit me, went down in my head, hit my son. And he just started freaking out, of course. And so I put my hand on her right here to get her to stop hitting us. Because my thumb left a bruise, I got arrested. I spent Thanksgiving in jail for 2007. When I got out, my wife I didn't even know this when I got arrested. She had told the police that I had drugged her from the garage to our living room by her hair, choked her, and told her I was going to kill her. Now, after I went to jail, when it was time for court, DA came to me and said, "Hey, look, I just got a letter from your wife saying that everything the police are saying is a lie. She is saying that their testimony, what they say she says, isn't true." Sitting in jail for Thanksgiving, and this is what she's doing. Right? Like, I mean, this is a wild. So I get out of jail. We decide to get back together, of course, because I'm gonna tell you something. I'd get back together today with her if I could have my kids, because that's the only thing that matters. What she says about me, not what she thinks about me, or not what she, has all her family and friends thinking about me. I want my kids. So I don't care what she has to say. I want my kids. You know what I mean? It's all lies. I was a stay-at-home dad for 6 years. 6 years. Worked in the oil field for 20 years. Got laid off. I put her through real estate school with the money that was given to me as my severance package. I put her through real estate school. She never did real estate. It didn't work. But now I'm this bad guy that has been abusive in all these different ways. It's not true. I have text messages from years telling me I need to be the one with them. She's not okay with them. She's sorry for how she's treated me, but she doesn't know what's wrong with her. God, look, when the AG called me today, I was at work and I almost lost it. Hung up with that officer because he gave me the number for I don't even know what it's called. It's some kind of custody thing. And he gave me the number. He's like, call them. These people literally told me there's nothing they can do for me. She has control of the kids. She's in full control. The state organization telling me this. I said, is she breaking the law? I said, well, what she's doing is not legal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm beside myself, guys. Like, really, I am beside myself, and I went through, what your guy sent me today, and I have had no help. I have had nobody to talk to, nobody to deal with this for me or help me figure out until I found y'all on TikTok. I had no clue what to do. I've got everybody telling me, well, you just got to go get your kids. You have no idea what I'm dealing with. This woman she's called the cops on me. If I show up at my kid's school, what she's going to do is going to embarrass him. She's going to humiliate him in front of everybody at his school. And she's going to do it to form that narrative that she's been forming. To continue that narrative. To continue it. I don't know what to do. I haven't even filed for divorce because I'm so scared that she's going to tell my kids, see, look at what your daddy did. Look at what your daddy did. We've been separated since February 2nd, something like that. I haven't seen him since then. I won't divorce. I don't know what to do.
Scared.
I'm scared to death.
Yeah, I understand it.
So Corey, what prompted you leaving?
Oh, we've had, she's been hitting me, physically beating me since we were first married. What happened was a dog. I have a golden doodle, and my golden doodle went into the kitchen, and so my wife shocked it. And she shocked it. Was getting a drink. The dog had followed me into the kitchen, but she didn't want it in the kitchen, so she shocked the dog. Got my drink. I went and sat down. About 10 minutes later, the dog came up to me and I started petting the dog. Well, when I started petting the dog, she freaked out and got mad at me saying that I shouldn't have pet the dog, that the dog needed to know it was in trouble. Went to bed. An hour later, I went to bed. And when I laid down, she was wide awake. And she told me, she said, I'm going to my mother's. Like, okay, cool. I get a good night's sleep. You know what I mean? But and then she left. She went into the living room, and then she came in and started just screaming and hollering. So I got up out of the bed, walked into the living room, and she just would not stop. And then look, this is a woman who for days will attack me, call me I don't know, can I cuss?
Sure.
Call me a bitch, slut, a hoe, faggot, all these different things to try to demean me in front. Now, this is when my kids are listening. They're there hearing all this. You know what I mean? Like, this is insane. So anyway, so pet my dog. When I pet my dog, she freaks out. She goes in the room. She comes out, or I go to bed. She comes out of the bed. When I'm coming out, I'm trying to go back into the room because she's just going crazy on me. And she tries to slam the door in my face. So I put my hand up so it doesn't hit me in the face, hit the door. This woman goes and gets her 9mm, pulls a gun on me, and my 17-year-old son gets in the middle of us.
Shit.
So when this happened, I realized I had to go. You know, I mean, and part of my problem is the courts are thinking, well, if she's so bad, why did you leave your kids there? I had to leave my kids there because if I didn't, she would hurt us all. And she's not going to hurt them because she can't do that and still have that narrative that she's formed. She's going to pretend, she's going to form, and she's going to act however she needs to attack me.
So that was February.
It was February. Now we're in October. I haven't seen or heard from my kids. I text every day. Every day I text my kids. She canceled or whatever my youngest son's phone number, got rid of his phone number and got him a new number so I don't have it. My oldest son, who's about to be 18 and going to college next year, not going to change his phone number. She just got me blocked. Got me blocked from his TikTok, you know, and I don't even need a TikTok. I don't want a TikTok. The only reason I have social media is to talk to my kids. That's the only reason. You know, my sons are both very involved in TikTok and, you know, all the other ones. I don't even know what they're all called. But the only reason I have them is so I can talk to them. And I'm blocked in every format. The stay-at-home, like I said, I know I said this earlier, I was a stay-at-home dad for 6 years. Took care of them. I took them to the doctor. Took them to I took them to school. I picked them up every day. I took them to golf practice. I took them to baseball practice. Coached. Did all this, and now all of a sudden I'm so abusive and so horrible that I don't deserve to be around my children? It's devastating. I don't understand how hard this is and how awful this is for a dad or a mom who cares.
And not just cares, but doesn't do anything to earn this type of abuse in response, right? They've been the primary caregiver in many cases, and there's no prior allegations. Not until that partner doesn't get their way, all of a sudden now you're a monster. All of a sudden now you're an abuser. And the reality is they're projecting all the things they've done onto you as the person who's doing what they've been doing. Right? It's just another
The problem is
form.
they're so manipulative that they can turn the courts against me, no matter what I've done.
Yeah. They come across as cool, calm, collective, and controlled, right? And the alienating parent comes across as agitated, angry, right? They come across as unable to control their emotions because you're in total disbelief that this is actually, not only is it happening, but other people believe them, right?
Right.
I mean,
People that have watched it. That's the
yes.
crazy thing. My wife's family has watched, they have seen her physically attack me over and over several times. And I'm the bad guy. I'm the abusive person.
Yeah.
Blind monkeys.
Blind monkeys. Blind monkeys for
Yes.
sure. So you leave the home in February, and have you spoken to her at all?
Oh, yeah, I've spoken to her. We actually were talking about getting therapy. So let me just go into where we are right now. So we
Yep,
were talking about
perfect.
having therapy and getting our family back together. And being where I was, I had moved in with my parents at this point. When I was kicked out, I literally didn't have clothes. I didn't have shoes. I had to show up to work the next day in my pajamas, my Crocs. That's all I had. Um, sorry.
Good.
Listen, we recognize this is going to be really emotional, right? And it's
It's just
okay.
Hard,
Yeah.
especially being a man in
hard.
this world, and they listen to everything that the woman has to say, and I lived it. I'm living it right now, and it's in disbelief. So I feel you there. It's rough, and just know we understand where you're coming from. It's okay. It's just that's what we're here trying to do, is trying to listen and let you vent it out, because we understand. We understand that we want to help other people that are in the fog and don't really
Absolutely.
understand that, right? It's a fog. It's a fog of bullshit. You feel so lost in your PTSD, and you're like, I don't know what to do anymore. But you're in disbelief that it's even happening.
It's so hard to fathom somebody literally that you loved for this long, you gave everything to for this long, really wants to destroy you. Not just your relationship with your kids, not your relationship with your family, because her goal was to isolate me from all my friends, I hadn't talked to my family in 2 years when we split up. Years. Because she hated them. She absolutely hated my family. When she met my sister on the first day, they got into it. I literally had to physically separate them. Oh, the red flags.
Yeah,
Didn't.
it's
Well, what they want to do is they want to isolate you, to your point, so that the only person you can rely on is them, and that you're stuck in that environment, tolerating that physical, psychological, emotional, mental abuse until you decide one day, because your son got in the middle, potentially could have harmed him, you decided you have to walk away, right? And how dare you? How dare you, after, in her mind, everything she's done, right? It's not the reality, but they create the narrative, they drive the narrative, and until it shifts on them, all of a sudden now they make you pay, they punish you for not sticking around.
So they've made
And
it impossible to stick around.
exactly.
absolutely. And they use the one thing that they know, whether it's a woman or a man, in this situation, when you take someone's children away, that is where you will fight back. And that is where, even in your case, you consider, do I go back, right? Because I want to be around them. And they know you're a puppet with strings when it comes to your children. And they know this. And that's the first thing they pull away from you.
The youngest boy told me one day, he said, you scared of mama or dad. I said, I ain't scared of mama. He said, boy, you scared of them ones and twos.
Sees
Think
it
about
enough.
what I just said. Think about that. My
That's
12-year-old son knows that his mama will hit me to get what she wants. That's what she is teaching him, and I am teaching him. We are teaching him that it's normal. It's okay to
Yeah.
be this. Not
You
okay.
know, it's not okay. The sad part is, with your 12-year-old, that's going to instill a underlying acceptance of either him being abusive or him allowing to be abused, right?
Abused, yes.
And it could go one of both ways, right? I mean, he might say, I'm not going to do what my dad did. I won't be that. I won't allow it. So I'll put my fist down and I'll take a stance and I'll stand up for the person my dad couldn't. Right. And then regardless, Corey, regardless of what position he takes, she has instilled that environment, has created that acceptance for him. And this is where this type of abuse has a long lasting impact on the children.
I know. My kids love me. My kids love, my parents tell me all the time, Corey, we wish we had the relationship you have with your kids.
Yeah.
But my wife, who I'm, trying to divorce. I say wife because she's my ex kind of deal, but we're still married.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was saying. I just lost it. I'm sorry.
But what a great dad you are, Corey. You're a great dad.
You're a great dad.
I'm a great dad, darn it.
Yeah.
You're the connected parent. That's why you bond with him. You are the connected parent, and that's where she sees that as a threat. You are the connected parent. It's a threat to you. It's a threat to her because you have the ability to connect to them genuinely when she has no freaking idea on how to do that. It's a foreign language to them, to these type of people. And that's why she does have to control you in these different ways. And I got myself into these same situations, these abusive ones, and I know what you're going through. Like, again, a 5'2" one that beat the shit out of me, and I'm scared to death of her too. I'm 6'3". I'm 6'3", 250. Like, you're scared to death of them, right? I get this.
Exactly.
Like, I understand this completely. Yeah, because it's like you don't know what side of crazy you're gonna get, and that's enough is alone to scare the shit right out of you. You don't know what side of crazy you're gonna get.
Absolutely. Wake up with a different person every morning.
Yep. You don't know.
But not only that, is when that crazy comes out, you don't know what you're going to be held accountable for not doing just based off what they say. Right? Because if they want to strike a fight with you, they will do it. And the second 911 is involved, guess who's going to be the bad guy? Literally. Of course.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I don't want to call the cops. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing that I want to tell every parent out there, mom, dad, whatever, call the cops. Call the cops every single time. Because I have been hit so many times. I have been kicked so many times. I have been beaten so many times. If I had called the cops and had a record of it, there's nothing she could do. There's nothing she could do about it. Call the cops. Don't be scared because you're a big guy, 6'4", 6'3",
Exactly.
200 pounds. Don't be scared to call the cops because it was. Every single time. I was scared because it would make me look weak. I didn't want to look weak in front of my family. How sad is that? My family, my wife was the one making me that way. Fight. Fight for your kids. Fight. Fight. That's the only message I have.
So what's next, Corey?
It's the most important thing.
The one thing I had to start doing that kind of put crazy in a checkbox is I had to pull my camera phone out and start recording her crazy. Like, I had to record it.
I did that.
I'm like, whoa, okay.
I did that. I used to do that all the time. The time. And you know what she did? We got into an argument one day. She found my phone and deleted everything on my phone. All my records. I had notes. I had, videos of her hitting me with keys in my face, causing me to bleed like crazy. Key in my car. Key in my truck. In a baseball bat to my truck. All these things she did. And I never did anything. I didn't fight back at all because I you know what? I was scared that my kids would see me fighting back like that. That's what they would learn. I was wrong in all of this. I should have showed them what they need to be married to. I should have showed them what it was not okay. I should have showed them what was okay. I didn't.
So what's next, Corey?
Well, I called a lawyer today. After the AG called me, I called a lawyer because it's Columbus Day. They were closed. But I will get with them tomorrow. And it's time to fight. It's time to get my children. My son's about to be 18 years old in January. I only have a little bit of time left to fight for him.
Did you call the lawyer I sent you, or is it someone different?
It's the
Okay,
one you sent.
good. He's good. It's have the conversation, and if he can't accommodate financially, then ask for some referrals. But it's really important. Also, this is something that we talk with every parent about, and I with all my clients as well, is learn about. I know you said you're so well versed in it now, and you've been learning so much about parental alienation, but the fact that this is child psychological abuse, right? This is, although she's inflicted multiple levels of abuse against you, her taking the children away and implanting memories of the kind of person that she says you are, that's psychological abuse for the children, keeping them away from you after you've had this amazing relationship with them. And your son's going to be 18 and he'll be at a point where he can make his own decisions and goes off to college. And, maybe all the good memories that he's shared with you, he'll find it in his heart to reach out again. Right?
I'm praying for it every
Yeah.
day.
But your 12-year-old, you have, it's so much opportunity there. So much.
And that's what you're fighting for.
So November 1st, I'm having surgery. November 4th is his birthday. So on November 4th, I'm driving to where they live, and I'm going to the school, and I'm going to give him his birthday present.
Good.
They're trying to stop me. There's no orders. There's no,
Right.
We haven't been divorced, or we haven't been, there's no custody, anything. She can't keep me from him to do that. I'm going. Well,
it's public
now, the
grounds.
only
Or
reason I haven't gone is because I'm so scared to death of what she's going to do as far as calling the cops, and I mean, when we split up, I had no money. I was working a job making $17 an hour. Did whatever I could do, and then I moved in with my parents because that's all I could do. You know what I mean? I'm 47 years old living with my parents. That's sad. That's sad, but I had nothing else. You know what I mean? And it's important for me to know that my kids know that I didn't have a life without you guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's what she's trying to tell them, that I was, I replaced them with another family. Because when I found out certain information, I told her I wanted a divorce. And we split up, and we had been split up for almost 2 years. And I started seeing somebody. Because I started seeing somebody, it became an issue. And she came back to me and did the whole, love bombing and making me feel that this was real. This was what she told me. She said, Corey, I'm going to say this one time. I'll never say it again. Please don't leave me. Broke my heart. Because to this day, I love my wife. I love her. I believe in her, and it's hard for me to sit there and listen to the narcissist stuff and think that she meant to be this way. Physically cannot believe it because I love her more than that. I don't believe that she meant to hurt me. I don't believe that she's meaning to hurt my kids. But I see what I see, right?
That's the hard part, is you see the good in people, and that's why you continue to give them chances and chances, and then they'll give you that little hook of like, oh, I'm trying to work on myself. I see it now, and and then it baits you in a little bit deeper, and it strings you up to, you're pretty much putting the whole fucking thing, the rope around your neck, and then they will use that any chance they get. And I feel you on that, man. You see the best in people, and that's not a bad flaw to have. I mean, it's a great thing to see the beautiful parts of people. It's just when people take advantage of that. And she's obviously doing that in a very severe way. And it's just, my heart goes out to you. Like, it's a hard one to go through. And I like to say it gets easier, but it gets a little bit more difficult. So just keep people around you. What are you doing for yourself to keep your mental wits about your emotions?
And if it weren't for my family, my parents, my sister, her kids, they keep me grounded because they let me know I'm not this guy that she says I am. Because for years, I mean, 18 years, I believed I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, something's wrong with me. She can't be this bad. I mean, just physically, I can't believe that she is this bad of a person. You know what I mean? Like, just, I can't believe that I was that blinded to marry somebody that truly does not give a shit about me or how I feel or my family or anybody else. It's crushing. It is literally crushing. And I just want to say to everybody who, may be listening, crushing. It will crush you. You have to be ready for this. There's no way to be ready for this. There's no way.
You know why? Because you shouldn't have to be, right? You shouldn't need to be. You are not wired to have to fight for your children. You are wired to protect your children, right? And so when you end a relationship, the end of a relationship is so traumatizing in itself. To add the complexity of using the children as weapons is just not something you or anybody should be ready to be mentally prepared for, right? That's why it's such a challenge, because your goal, the reason you bring kids into this life, is to give them the best, to take care of them, to teach them to be amazing human beings and to go live this great life and do the exact same things that you taught them to do. But instead, your job becomes protecting them. Everything you've done to protect them, and now they're just ripped away from you. And you feel like at this point you have no recourse. And I will tell you, you're in a state of freeze where you are just so traumatized, right? And I talk with a lot of parents, right? And you hear it all the time. I was frozen. Like, I was frozen with shock and disbelief. But the one thing I cannot reiterate enough is that time while you're frozen in shock and disbelief, they're creating a story against you, right? So when you finally do come to the courtroom ready to fight, their list of issues against you is longer than as tall as you are, and you just got to the ready to show up like, I'm here, and they're fully prepared for war.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you called the lawyer. I'm glad you're speaking. I mean, it's a good place to start. Of course, money's always a concern with legal resources.
Especially after being where I was when I left,
course.
I mean, I had nothing. I didn't have anything. A $17 an hour job. I had that when I was 15. You know what I mean? Like, and that was because I needed a job because she was getting fired or quitting from a job that she was accusing someone of sexually harassing her, who was a preacher, he had a marriage ministry, this man. Whole ministry was ministering to people who were having trouble in their marriage and trying to get them back together, trying to get them in an okay position. So when she took the job, the idea was we were going to go to them. As soon as we did, and they told her what she didn't want to hear, he was gone. It was over. We never went back to these people. And she ended up quitting the job, saying that the guy was sexually assaulted. Now, this is a worldwide famous preacher, saying that he was sexually harassing her and touching her in inappropriate ways. He only told me this after he had quit the job. Okay. Never before, and it was never a real thing. I know my wife. I know her. First time this man would have done something to her, she would have came and told me, because she knows I would have protected her. I would have went there and I would have physically handled that man for doing that to her. Right? Like, a man stands up for his wife. She's lying. She's absolutely lying. This is what I'm doing. She has told me that she is going to get me on talking to underage girls. Never done that. Ever. There's no proof. but this is what she's accusing me of because she knows what she can do with the accusations.
That's how to manipulate, control, and abuse you even further. That you are further scared of them.
And debilitate you with fear, right? So she wants to instill so much fear that you continue to stay frozen, and she comes after you and she gets whatever she wants, including the kids.
She's done it so far.
We just had another guy in our past podcast, and he said, if I can say one thing, it's fight and fight fast and fight fierce. Because even if you don't fight, they're going to come just as equally as hard, if not harder. So that was his advice.
And one thing I'm just barely understanding is get a forensic psychologist on your team that can help you in court, because they will be able to educate the judge and everybody else on what kind of crazy you're dealing with. That's one thing that I didn't have until just barely, and when they understand it, and Charity's well versed in this, she might be able to give some leads on who to talk to. But forensic psychologists will come testify on your behalf and educate the judge and the court on what is actually going on and why. It doesn't matter how many lies at that point. Once they expose the narcissist and the sociopath, it's going to be just all the lies are going to come out. It's going to just show everything. And then it'll show how much she's actually trying to destroy you and the kid's relationship. So get on that. I didn't have it until just recently, but definitely just look into that.
Absolutely.
Our next call, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So what else? What else do you got for us? So you're looking at a lawyer. You tell us if you're open to sharing about what are you trying to do? How are you planning on staying in touch with the boys? I mean, what are you thinking about that?
Like I said, I text them every day, every day. And 2 weeks ago, and I told you this, 2 weeks ago, I hadn't talked to my son since February. Texted on a Sunday after my oldest son's favorite team is Oklahoma University. We're Sooner fans. So they won, and I texted him on Sunday, and I've been blocked since February. All of a sudden, my text went through. It unblocked me just to see if Daddy was still trying. You know what I mean? Like I truly, I mean, and that's my belief, right? Like it could have been her, but I'm holding on to the fact that my son wanted to know, did Daddy still want him? You know what I mean? So my goal right now and from here on out is to let both of my sons know that Daddy still wants them. Daddy's still fighting for them. And Daddy's not giving up.
And keep those posts going. I know you don't like social media, but post about them, because I've actually had my daughter I haven't spoke to in years now just all of a sudden like a post about autism awareness about my son out of nowhere. I didn't know that, but I don't know. Like again, the same thing is I want to grasp towards she's reaching out to me in her own way.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's important too, right? Like they have to have their space, their ability to kind of work around what they're dealing with. You know, I mean, I know my 13-year-old's not going to do it. My 17-year-old, I know he's kind of working around what he's dealing with because she is making it impossible for him to talk to Daddy. She is making it impossible for him to love his daddy. So he's working around her. Problem is my 13-year-old can't.
No, and they live in fear, right? They can't dare say, I want to see Daddy, or I miss Daddy, I want to talk to him. They can't dare say that because, one, they saw the type of abuse you endured, and the last thing they want is for that to happen to them, right? And this is, again, where I cannot emphasize enough, where the courts don't recognize this is child psychological abuse. For your child to be in fear just because of words, it's almost worse than physical abuse, right? You just never know when you say the one wrong thing, when the consequences are going to come at you. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And so your 13-year-old definitely has to align, right? He has to align.
And both of my sons are what's the word? Not follow. They try to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm
People
trying to say?
pleasers.
People pleasers.
Pleasers.
Yeah.
They are people pleasers. They are so intent on making somebody happy because they've seen so many people unhappy, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're so intent on making people happy that they will do whatever. And that kills me because that's
Yeah.
not who I am, right? Like, I'm a stand-up person. I'm a stand up for what's right. I'm a stand up for I'm a stand against what's wrong. My sons are learning that.
Yeah. Well, also they're in an environment where it's been traumatizing, and it's their way of creating peace in everything around them because they can't control the lack of peace in the household, right? And it's coping mechanisms, and we all have them. We all have our own coping mechanisms, right? I mean, and this is generational trauma, Corey. This comes from past generations of how your wife was raised and the kind of conflict she had in her household. And we don't know that, but you might. But what we see when I work with families is doing
She grew up
generate.
in a cult. Just to say that. She grew up in a cult.
Well,
Absolute cult.
well, if you've seen my post, you know that parental alienation is very similar to cult behavior, incredibly similar. So there you have it.
The tactics, everything that she's learned.
Yeah. It's that control, just like in a cult, they control the thoughts, everything. And parental alienation ends up being the same thing. So it's a very, very similar.
Yes. And the good thing is they spent the majority of their lives being bonded to you,
Yeah.
which is a really good thing. I just want you to know that, like,
Yeah.
that right there is a positive, huge positive for you, because a lot of kids start at 4 to 5 years old.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's how my daughter rejected the relationship, is 4 or 5 years old. Like, the fact that they've been bonded for you, you've been that guy, you've been the connected parent. There's books about this, connected parent. Yeah, that's you. And
Yeah.
just know that they are trying to navigate it. And, the 18-year-old, doesn't believe it. And he knows he doesn't believe it because it doesn't align with who you really are.
Right.
And 13-year-old sees it too. It just doesn't, he's more on a border with it. They're like, hey, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, none of that makes sense. But doesn't know how to navigate it and doesn't have that help, like with the older sibling, So, and that's where I think that forensic psychologist would help out a lot with bringing light to what the 13-year-old actually is experiencing. And it's hell. I've been on that side as a child, and it's hell because like physical abuse, and then they make you lay with them and weird shit like that, where it's like, it's so crazy that you're so scared to do anything. Like you freeze and you're like, just one day I just want to live and just be happy without being messed with, right? Right? Exactly. So simple, but yet so hard. So hard. But yeah, there's hope. Just know there's hope, and you being that person for so long, that gives you a very, very positive leg on this up. So, and connecting with people like this that are just trying to, tell their stories and outreach and help other people. That's a huge win to help another person, and what your story might do for somebody else. It's amazing. Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate you being on with us, and thank you for sharing your story. And we look forward to staying updated on how things turn out for you. And we'll definitely be in touch, and I'll reach out with you. And you already follow me on Parental Alienation is Real on TikTok, and Jeremy's.
And then, yeah, I'm Jeremy, the Alienated Dad. I've been on Facebook, Jeremy McReynolds. You can look it up. I got videos, and me and Charity are kind of helping each other out. I got videos of my own situation. My story's coming out, and we're getting ready to do a documentary that's going to release next year, and really just start trying to make an impact and see if we can get it to Netflix and really just start helping other people.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Awesome.
So,
Corey, stay strong. You're doing all the right things, and
absolutely.
we'll catch up later. But thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Fractured Families Podcast.
We hope our conversations have provided you with support, understanding, and actionable insights to help you navigate your own family challenges.
Remember, healing is a journey, and reaching out for help is a sign of strength. You're not alone in this.
If you have found value in today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more families in need.
Connect with us on social media for additional resources and ways to get involved.
Remember to stay strong, stay connected, and keep fighting for the family bonds that matter the most.
Until next time, take care and stay resilient.